Okay, so for the first part, can you please explain a little bit about
You
yourself
got
for
it.
those who don't know who you are?
Yes, hello. My name is Landon Harvey. I am a comedian, ventriloquist, builder, artist, kind of a little bit of everything, but mainly people know me as the Puppet Boy.
That's awesome. So when did you realize you wanted to become a ventriloquist?
Oh my gosh. I was 6 years old, introvert, elementary school, you know, and we had all of our school gathered together in this auditorium, and we saw a ventriloquist perform. And I'd never known what ventriloquism was. I had seen done them on TV, but this guy performed at our school. His name is Dennis Lee, and it was Dennis Lee and the Funky Monkey Bunch, and also known as Dennis Lee and Nana Puddin'. And I remember seeing it, and I go, "That is magical. I want to be able to do that. I want to make life come out of a puppet and make people laugh and teach people and the show just encompassed everything about the arts and theatrics and puppetry. And I remember thinking, I don't know how he does all that, but I want to do it. And it's been my journey ever since to get to that point.
That's great. And so I understand that you make all of your puppets. So what is the process like of creating a new character slash puppet?
Absolutely, yeah. So the process usually begins in various ways. Sometimes I get an idea for a voice, and I take the voice and I turn it into a puppet. I will say, okay, I want that to be an old man, or that might be funny for a chicken, or that might better not work for a chicken, but it would work better for my zombie. So I try to just let it happen organically. People have come to me with ideas, and I will build puppets for people on occasion, and they will say, "This is what I want. This is what I'm looking for." And just like with my own process, I try to break it down. So, like, what's the character? What is the idea when you bring out the puppet? What do you want people to laugh? Do you want them to be shocked? How does the puppet relate to you? That's very important in building the character. For me, my zombie is not, I want him to be intimidating, but not too gross. So there's a lot of elements that I think of. I don't just think of building a puppet. I think of how is it going to be responded to by the audience, and what is my audience if I'm building this puppet. You don't want a zombie for little kids; it'll scare them. So just in things like that, I try to think of kind of work backwards, I guess you could say. Think of when I present the puppet, how do I want it to be presented, and then kind of work backwards from there, and then that usually gives me my answer.
That's great. And so how long did it take you to become like actually good at ventriloquism and like actually
Ooh, how long did it take me to be good? I don't know. I think I'm still working on it. I think that I started ventriloquism when I was 6. I think 3 to 4 years in, I was pretty good. So about 10, 11, and then I just kind of honed it from there. But in terms of being good at the art of ventriloquism, not moving my lips, it probably took me 3 or 4 years. And then keeping the puppet alive and realizing the puppet is supposed to be its own character. That's been a process I've been working on since I was 13 with all my characters. Yeah.
that's awesome. So what was your first character that you had for uh yourself?
My first puppet that I ever had was a pirate puppet that my dad got for me on one of his work trips. He brought it back for me, and I remember seeing it. It was probably, it felt like it was as big as I was, but it was this pirate puppet. I named it Chips Ahoy after the cookie snack because I was 6 and I thought that was hilarious. I was named Chips Ahoy. It'll be great. And I had him. I was 6, but I tried to give him this gruff voice, like a gruff pirate voice, and I would bring him to show and tell and kind of show him. And what I realized was, okay, I can perform with this puppet at show and tell. And even though I'm an introvert, people will pay attention to me and laugh at what the puppet says or how the puppet reacts to me. And then I put the puppet away and people go back to their thing. And I realized there was a real power in that kind of form, that form of puppetry and that form of ventriloquism presentation.
That's awesome. And so uh who are your biggest inspirations as ventriloquist?
Oh, good question, Timothy. I think my inspirations are cumulative. They've built over the years. Dennis Lee was one of the first Vince I ever saw live. Jeff Dunham, of course, Terry Fader, David Strassman, Nina Conti, uh, Nancy Wooster, Dan Horn, uh, Senior Wences. I mean, it's just Otto and George. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. I think the more I've grown into this art and figured out who I am as a ventriloquist, the more I've studied and gotten into the history of ventriloquism, and the list kind of is ongoing and it builds.
That's awesome. And so if you could give advice to your 15-year-old self, what would you tell him?
Oh man, um, I would tell him don't stress out. about school as much. Continue doing what you're doing, and fail faster. I think that's the biggest problem I deal with right now is my worry for everything to be perfect or presentable. And it kind of sometimes I feel like it's holding me back. But then sometimes I feel like I'm working toward this end goal of a perfect presentation, which nothing's ever really perfect. But I'm a Scorpio and I'm a bit of a neat freak in terms of what I want to present and how I want it presented. So I think that was my biggest thing is I just need to just, if you're a ventriloquist, you got to get out there with the puppet and perform. You got to make sure your technique's good. You got to get some jokes and you'll learn everything else on the boards on stage. Yeah.
So what type of puppets do you use? Do you use hand puppets or do you use like stick puppets like Jeff does?
Yeah, I use a little bit of both. I started with the hand puppet, then I had a stick puppet. I had a professional vent figure, which is the stick puppet you're referring to, where it's got a stick lower its neck inside the body cavity, and it's got levers. But I mainly use right now soft puppets, and I build them all. I'm working on some marionette designs with the puppets on strings, and then also some stick puppets that are kind of a hybrid of soft puppet and stick puppet. So they kind of go within my world. But I like the soft puppets because they're easier to fly with. You can put them all in a duffel bag. You don't have to worry about them paint chipping. And I can build them bigger. So if I'm on stage, they rival me. You can see them well from afar. And you can manipulate more of the body, if it's with it being on the arm than just the neck swivel.
That's great. And so this next question is kind of similar to the last one. What advice would you give to your younger other students who would like to become ventriloquists?
Join my university. Shameless plug, but I've been working on this university for about a year and I'm revealing it now. I mean, it's up and it's ready. And what I've done is I've gotten a bunch of messages on how to become a ventriloquist. And there's YouTube videos at the wazoo. You can go check that out. But I didn't want to do just a basic YouTube video. I wanted to get all my friends, all the people that have inspired me, and have them lecture on ventriloquist universities. You can join ventriloquistuniversity.com for a year and take all the courses, learn about the markets you can go into as a ventriloquist, and hear stories from seasoned pros. It's my university, and I have my best friends as part of it. And what more could you ask for? It's a real great induction into our community. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And so I'll leave that website in the link below. And so that actually wraps up all the questions. Is there anything else you'd like to talk and say before?
Yeah, I would like to wrap up by saying, ventriloquism is a fun art. It means the world that what I love so much and what is so dear to me is received so well by my audience. And it means the world when people DM me and I know that what I do matters to them. Ventriloquism is a lonely art. You're speaking for yourself and multiple people, but when you realize that it connects you to other people, I think that's the biggest shock. And so I'm very blessed. I'm very fortunate to have this job. And my goal is to grow my career and to inspire along the way. And people like you, Timothy, with podcasts that I can share my story, that means the world. So thank you for having me on.
Of course, I enjoyed it, and I'm also trying to become a ventriloquist. I have a stick puppet, so yeah. But yeah, so once I am
Oh,
done,
that's great.
yeah, once I'm done editing the video, I will send it to you. Do you want me to email it or DM it to you?
Whatever's easiest. And if you put it in your Instagram story, tag me and we'll share it around so people will check out the app.
It sounds good. Thank you. Have a good day.
You got it. You too. Bye, man.
Bye.